Welcome to this episode of Salt, Pepper, Oil. Today we're going to show you how to make this beautiful dish. We have got a Parmesan and herb crusted halibut, spaghetti squash cakes, and a kale, shaved Brussels, shallot, cranberry, everything good, salad topped with a citrus vinaigrette. This has got a lot of components, a lot of taste. It is delicious. You want to stay tuned. So in this dish, what you're gonna get is a piece of halibut that is crusted in a Parmesan herb bread crust that we make here in house, roasted spaghetti squash, a mixture of egg, fresh herbs, turmeric, garlic, and you're also gonna get a really awesome salad with kale, shaved Brussels sprouts, shallots, carrots, and cranberries. And that's gonna come with a citrus vinaigrette that's made out of freshly squeezed, delicious orange juice, fresh off the press. So let's get right into it. Cooking, all that time, ready to go. We got some pans. Let's talk about equipment. So the equipment that you're gonna need is a pair of tongs. It's gonna be to mix the salad, possibly move the fish around. We got the spatula to get that fish initially on that plate and get it off. We got a smaller saute pan that we're gonna do the fish in. I have a regular stainless steel pan. You could use a non-stick pan at home. That'll probably be the best for doing those spaghetti squash cakes. We got two bowls, one to mix the spaghetti squash cake, one to marinate the salad in. You know, lightly crank these guys up. We got both pans on, turn it down to about medium, low, medium. Got the oven cranked up to 450, ready to go. We're gonna mix the squash up with the seasoning mixture, and then we're gonna go straight into the fish. That's gonna go into the oven. We're gonna work on spaghetti squash cakes, the salad. Really quick, simple, bada boom boom. Let's do this. Spaghetti squash into the bowl. Egg mixture, give it a little massage in the little baggie it comes in, or give it a stir around, all into here. Break all the little spaghetti squash strands apart. And like I said, season it, salt, pepper to taste. But this is perfect. Just make sure that all the strands are distributed and there's no clumps in there. Even vigorously stir like this. Get it in there. All right, so we're gonna set this to the side. We're gonna go straight into the halibut. Bam. These guys out of the way. Halibut, pretty straightforward. I already patted it dry. All you wanna do is pat it dry. A little bit of salt and pepper. And it'll come together. It's got a little bit of butter. Sometimes it takes a little second to kind of get it together. Just kind of use your hands as a border and just pack the nice layer of the crust right on top. And we're gonna go straight around to the oven over up here. This baby's gonna get some oil. Just enough to coat the bottom. You see that pan's hot, starting to give a light smoke right away. We're gonna go straight in with the fish. Make sure there's not a lot of crumb falling off and just straight into the pan, just like that. What you want to hear is that sizzle. Crank it up just so the heat of the pan can recover really quickly. And you want to see a little bit of browning, and you're just going to stick this straight into the oven, being really nice and careful. I'm going to stick it on the bottom. And now we're going to give this about 10 to 15 minutes. It's good. Rule of thumb is we're running about 450 degrees. You're gonna be able to do about 10 minutes for every about inch of fish. So kind of gauge on the size of fish that you have. Cook it, set a about 10 to 15 minute timer, and you'll be good to go. And as long as you let it rest, it'll be perfect. Don't worry about it too much. Salad time. Big fail swoop for me into here, just like that. You're gonna have the cranberries and the dressing separate, so just keep those packages separate and then add them in when the recipe says, which is basically right now. You're gonna take the dressing, kind of add as much as you want, and grab the tongs. You're gonna kind of stir around. What you wanna do is, with the Brussels sprouts in the recipe and the kale, you kind of want the salad to marinate a little bit. So it's a very hearty salad. The kale, the Brussels sprouts, the carrot, everything in here is pretty hearty, so you want it to marinate a little bit. You don't wanna just be eating fibers the whole time. So a little bit of salt and pepper in here as well. And voila. And we're just gonna get into here, mix it up. All the carrots want to stick to the side, that's okay. Just come back to this. It's really nice, looking nice and coated and creamy that is. We're gonna do some spaghetti squash cakes now. How about that? We got this bad mamma jamma preheated. We got some oil in there. You don't want this pan to come to a smoke. When you're doing nonstick, you'll be fine with preheating it just on medium heat. So what we're gonna do is per order, there's typically about 3 cakes. So we're gonna split this mixture in about 3 cakes. You're just gonna plop this guy in there, flatten it out to about a 1/4 inch. Remember, this stuff is already cooked, so just kind of try and keep it together. So just kind of use the spoon here as a way to keep it round. As much as you can. Not the most important thing in the world. And adjust the heat of your pan as you need it as well, because it's going to have lightly uneven spots. And see how everything's kind of moving around? So that's a good preheated stainless steel pan where you don't have any stickage, and I just put things in. So you gotta make sure that oil is nice and hot, but you don't want it to smoke in this case. So even though they're all kind of a little bit uneven, you can see that they're kind of holding together and holding their shape. That's the cornstarch and the egg doing their little work here. So we're gonna do about 1.5 minutes on each side. This guy, you can see it's already browning up a little bit right in there. So we're just gonna let this go on about medium, low to medium heat, about 1.5 minutes per side. And you wanna adjust the heat as you need it. If you see the edges browning up a little too much, you wanna either add just a little bit more oil or take that pan off the heat just for a second to let it cool down, because you really don't wanna burn these cakes. The other thing you can do is just flip it to the other side, right? So we're gonna do about another 30 seconds on this. And then once you're done with it, you can put them out, especially if you're doing multiple orders, onto a plate lined with some paper towel, so that way any grease or fat can kind of get into that paper towel, and you won't have greasy cakes, even though this is a very ungreasy recipe. They're fairly fragile. There's not a ton holding them together. It's not, a flour cake. Add a little bit more if the pan's, a little more oil if the pan's dry, but you just want to watch these, adjust the heat as needed. You want a dark golden brown. I'll show you the end result, but just keep cooking them about 1.5, maybe 2 minutes per side, but especially until the color is right. And if they are light in color, they're gonna be more, they're gonna wanna fall apart more on you than when they're colored really nice and brown. So don't burn your stuff, don't undercook your stuff. I wish I was there to cook it for you, all right? Pan off, squash cakes out. Lightly burnt on some of them. Yeah, you just want to be careful. Yeah, see, that one got a little bit away from me. Adjust that heat of the pan as you need it. There's not going to be a ton of grease in there. Don't worry about it. Timer off. That means your fish is done. Hopefully. Yes, perfect. All right, so check this out. We got a beautiful brown crust on this. You can kind of see on the fish, it's lightly flaking. And this is hot. This is very hot. Hot. Even though I got a towel. You see this fish is flaking, but you can see all that juice coming out. When you got a fish that's flaking at the seams, that means it's cooked just perfectly. You don't want to overcook it, but like I said, about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the size of your fish, about 10 minutes per inch. You can see any brown bits where the crust might have fallen off. That's all separated from the fish. You got a nice golden brown on the top, and on the bottom of the fish, you've got a nice color as well. See that? You see that? I don't want to flip it over. I don't want the crust to fall off by any chance. Let's plate this thing and let's eat. Fork. You need a fork. And maybe a knife. If you're cultured, you'll need a knife. Not so much. All right, so spaghetti squash cake. I'm just gonna take a little bite of everything. Oh, that was delicious. That was tasty. All right, let's get everything together. So spaghetti squash cake. You know what? A little bit of the dark brown actually tastes really nice. Gives you a nice carbone kind of feel. Oh, look at that fish. Nice and juicy on the inside. We'll do this hot stuff first together. I bet it tastes good. Oh, bad mamma jamma good. That is awesome. Crispy, tasty, delicious. And then a lightly marinated kale and shaved salad. That is a combo if there is one. Buttery, luscious, lightly acidic, got that nice sweetness from the cranberries in there. It's a great dish. You gotta check it out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna try to put out videos every single week. Tell your family, friends, everybody you know, this is the place to be. Come visit us, saltpepperoil.com. Stop by the store, say hi. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.